All right, I'm going to spend a little bit more time completing this bottle. I'm going to finish the objects that are inside. So you have two paintbrushes kind of coming through here. I'm starting I'm going to start them both with indigo blue. And again, I'm just leaving wherever it's like a bright white on top, I'm leaving that because it's kind of hard to erase back to that. We could always add a little bit of white acrylic paint if it gets too filled in. But otherwise, I'm doing a very even underpainting base on the bottom, on this first paintbrush. So there's the indigo. And it looks like this other paintbrush is actually facing the other way, and this is actually more black. I do see a giant reflection towards the top, so I'm going to make sure I sketch that in first so that I don't lose the white there. And there's another one right here. I'm going to press, where we talked about shading using pressure, I'm going to actually press just a bit firmer on the one that's going to be black because I want it to automatically feel a little bit darker than the other one. You will notice that I went in and I filled in other areas of the bag. I mixed this pink using mulberry or magenta with the blush pink. This is yellow with a little violet and white. Hopefully those make sense to you for creating. All right, so now in this other paintbrush, I'm going to add some blue violet. And again, I am slowly adding so I can finesse my layers of color. I do notice in the reference that I see a lot more purple towards the bottom here, so I'm going to let the blue violet be a little more dominant down in this area. And then I'm actually going to take my burnt umber to start making a more natural black on this brush underneath. I will use the burnt umber also to create shadows on the first brush, but I'm just getting the basic thing in. And again, you can still kind of see some of the texture of the paper. It hasn't totally filled in yet. I noticed my light source is kind of coming from the front, so there's just a few areas I'm going to add this for a really dark shadow on the blue violet. And then I am going to do another coat, maybe go diagonally so I sort of fill in that texture a bit more. Avoiding those reflective areas. So starting to build up to a little more of a burnish. Now, there's reflections on top of the glass that's on top of this paintbrush. So I'm going to look at my reference and I'm going to see where it's tinted. And I'm just going to use my white and I'm going to create those shapes just like I did the shapes in the background here. So there's certain areas that have this tinted quality to them. I'm going to add those on top. All right. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the black paintbrush. And just like I wasn't necessarily trying to figure out what I was seeing in the back of the bag here. I just looked for shapes. I'm doing the same thing on this paintbrush. Right. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to burnish. I'm going to use the indigo blue to really make this more crisp. And I'm going to do the same thing on the black paintbrush because I'd like that blue to show through a bit more. I want the paintbrush to feel more like a blue black instead of a brown black. All right. And I think you're starting to get the sense of the glass there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my highlights, like the actual reflections on the top of the glass, start to go over top of my objects. Now, I definitely lost them in some areas, so I'm going to use my eraser. I'm just going to erase away all the colored pencil that's there, get rid of the wax, and then firmly use my, I keep doing it, my white. You may find that if there's not enough contrast, you have to go back in the surrounding color and deepen the value there so that that highlight shows up. I think that was a pretty good demonstration of that. And I got a new white. Oh, no, I didn't. That's gray. Here's my new white. Way less majestic than the gray. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to work on those reflections on top. Like I said, if you need to erase away some of the underneath, get your white in, and then kind of work those dark values around them. That's how you get them to look, those white reflections to look brighter. All right, let's see. Now in this area, it's kind of like a little bit darker. So I'm going to go back to my sienna brown. And I'm actually going to add a little indigo on top of that just to deepen it a little bit. Sometimes you got to use your artistic license to help create more convincing illusion. So that means you just, you got to make some artistic decisions. All right, let's see. So that's white. This reflection kind of comes through here. All right, and I do think you're starting to get a sense of glass. There's a reflection that's coming over top of this. So I'm actually going to just erase right on top of what I put down. Remember, even from the beginning of the year, drawing is a push-pull process, which means you put something down and you have to pick it up, you have to adjust it. Very few people can just get it right in one try. Really, it's not that much fun if you get it right in one try. There's more learning that happens when you're adjusting and editing. Let's see, I'm going to be a little bit darker along here. And I'm just going to wiggle that edge just to help see the reflection. All right. Down in here, I'm going to start adding, once the color is in on this, it's reflecting in the flower. So I've got that flower is showing up inside the glass. And it's a little bit of a distortion, so it's not going to look totally the right shape. And again, I did that with the mulberry and the blush pink. So kind of have that value. There's a bunch of dark stuff reflecting in here. I think it's this reflecting on the glass. So I'm actually going to just take my indigo. Whenever I am at a loss for a dark area, I rely on my indigo and I put that shape in. And then I use my brown. And then I can always put color back over top of it afterwards. But you can see that's like this reflecting into the edge of the glass. And the pink is higher, distorting. And you know what? It doesn't really matter if I'm going over what's already there. It's all gonna, kind of work together to make sense. And this is tinted a little, so I'm just slightest bit of white on top. But again, if it gets too light, I'm going back in with the dark. I can see a little bit of this blue in the edge here. So right on top, everything that's already there, I'm adding that in. And our very complicated area starts to become less complicated. I don't think I have this reflection in the right spot, but I'm going to put a little darker purple next to it to kind of make it stand out. Okay, so now we have the metal part of the paintbrush. I can create a nice bluish silver with the cerulean and the sienna brown. I'm going to lean more heavily on the blue just because there's so much blue around it, reflecting into the silver. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of white where it's lighter. And then the paintbrush part at the bottom here is pretty much, I'm just going to do a dark brown and a sienna brown with a little bit of white to tint it. I think that'll give me the end of the paintbrush. Let's see. I think that's looking pretty good. I'll clean up some of this sharp, just cleaner edges. And every once in a while, take a step back because it's hard to see how it looks like if it's all coming together unless you look at it from a distance. So there's some lighter reflections in here too. I'm just going to make the green a little bit darker around them so it looks more like a light reflection there. See how I did that? Everything's in context. Let's see, I do see some darker forms up here too. I'll do a little bit. It's probably this reflecting in there and then getting tinted. I'm going to have a little bit of that just to help with the illusion. All right, I'll talk about the bottom of the bottle afterwards. All right, good luck with that. That was actually pretty fun to do.